How's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac and I'm here with a video on Fate Granddaughter, Lostbelt number 5.2, Olympus, the second part to the crazy Lost Belt that is Lostbelt number 5. So I'm going to be talking about it since I finished it recently. I finished it yesterday, and man, for people who just want to hear my rating, I don't remember what I gave Atlantis. I think I gave it a 9 or a 9.5. Lost Belt is close, like if not equal to Atlantis for me. Well, I like Atlantis more because it's my personal favorite. Really liked Olympus. Like, I really, really liked it. It really held its own compared to all the other Lost Belts, and it, like, together, those two are by far the best story thing that's happened in this entire game. You know, like, to me, better than Solomon, better than Shimosa, better than anything. I loved this Lost Belt all together. It was so fire. Separately, I'd say Atlantis for me is my favorite still. It's kind of a weird situation, like, Olympus has better. Kashtaria, Musashi, and Canis are the best characters in this story so far. I really like them. But in Atlantis, the whole group was just all equal and they were good. So it's like you have really good standouts, but you also have a really good equal group. I really enjoyed Olympus. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it an 8.5 to a 9, honestly. I don't remember what I gave Atlantis, but I still want to put it at least like a little bit below it because for me, I'm gonna be inherently biased, but Olympus was really good. It could stand up to Atlantis, and if I were a different person, I would have said Olympus is better than Atlantis. But for people that want that, that's my rating. The MVP for this is Kristaria, no doubt about it, Mr. Kristaria Woodheim, Mr. Woodim, and he deserves to be wholeheartedly. He deserves to be the MVP of this entire Lost Belt. Olympus for what's his face for Atlantis is probably Jason. I honestly have to say it's probably Jason, but for Olympus, it's wholeheartedly Kerstaria Woodheim, bro. And it's just got me so excited to see what happens next in Lost Belt 6, because I don't know much about it except that it's London and that Morgan Le Fay is going to be in there. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see Lost Boat 6, and then I'm also excited to see Lost Boat 7 in South America, bro. It's about to be the boondocks out there. It's about to be so fire. I can't wait to see David and his Grand Class servant, bro. It's about to be so sick. We're about to be fighting in the jungle, bro. It's gonna be awesome. That's my rating for people that want to hear that. Now let me go into like the deep intricacies of it. So this last spell continues right after Atlantis, and we're here to fell the gods because Atlantis was first getting our bearings, and then Olympus is now actually doing it. But we have different servants now. We have a lot less servants now. If we had all the people that we did in Atlantis, shoot, we probably could have won easier. We still would have had to use the Black Barrel. But if we had all the servants from Atlantis, we would have had a way better time. We would have been able to fight with better odds and maybe not have lost people, honestly. It could have been sick. It could have been sick. Olympus is hard. Olympus is really hard. Not in terms of like the gameplay, but it still is hard, honestly, in gameplay. But in terms of the story, we are doing the impossible. We are A, killing gods, and B, fighting people who are so strong that they are servant class warriors. And they're not even servants, they're just normal people. Like, we are doing that, and on top of that, we have to destroy the Lost Belt that Kerstaria Woodheim controls. One of the strongest, if not the strongest, cryptor out of all of them. This dude is insane, bro. This dude is insane. So we have to do all that with just the main character, Mash, and Holmes. It's actually ridiculous, bro. How do you expect people to do that? But then they did it somehow through the help of Musashi, through the help of Adela Macarios, which is the two Lost Belt kids that we get this time. Which I will have to say, my friend said like, oh yeah, these two kids are the best ones so far, and I have to agree, they really are. They really are because of how much involvement they have in this, how much stake they have in it, and the fact that just overall compared to the other ones, they do something. It's not like just, oh yeah, you're killing this kid's world, you're destroying it, all they've ever known, and they don't even know it. They don't even know that you're doing this, but you still do it anyways. And it's like, oh, okay, I know I'm the bad guy game. You don't have to keep telling me this. Here, they help you. They actually do help you. You're not like, oh, they understand our cause. They do, but at the same time, you know, they just don't want this world to continue going. If if we weren't there, they would have done that anyways, because that was the whole point of the resistance that they formed. It's the fact that it's kids who, well, every Lost Belt has kids, and whether they help us or not, which usually most of them do, at least like a small amount, they don't know what's going on. They do know what's going on. They still willingly chose to help us. So having them there, it's like, oh shoot, yeah, they're so much more present than just being tools to guilt trip you into thinking that you're an even worse person that you really are. Which I mean, shoot, you probably are because you're ending worlds to save your own. It's survival of the fittest type stuff. They were cool. Adele and Macarios were cool. And then you start off getting thrown into Olympus. You get worked immediately. It's the same thing that happened in in Atlantis. Man, Atlantis, you really just show up and everybody's ready for you, bro. Odysseus is really there. But here, you're just walking around and then everybody pulls up on you because you rope a stitch on you. But the crazy thing about that, it's just you shouldn't be alive, bro. Sometimes you just shouldn't be alive. But through the help of Musashi, one of the best characters out there, bro. Musashi's so good. You live. And then you go to the Alliance. You learn that servants were here before this, and they were all eradicated because of Aphrodite. Aphrodite and Demeter. You realize, okay, we're the last ones left. There's no servants here waiting for us. Bleak situation. And then after all that, the plan gets basically set up like, all right, let's kill the gods. How are we gonna do it? How are we gonna do all that? And two things happen. The Black Barrel is made, and Musashi joins up fully. She's here to stop the gods and all that because we're here and all that, and she thinks that we're cool. And then through all that, we go through, we beat the meter, which was for me, when the story started getting crazy, but I'll talk about that later. And then, we go after that. We recruit Canis because of Gordolf, which is fire, by the way, because I forgot to mention, I think, in the last video, Canis got beat up by the Dioscuri twins because they jumped her. And Cursaria has two servants, the Dioscuri twins and Canis, but excuse me, the Dioscuri twins just beat her up and then left her to die. But then Gordolf was like, nah, come back, and then she got rezzed basically, and then he gave her a croissant, and she was like, all right, I'm in your debt. Until we beat the gods, I'm in your debt. But at the end of the day, she's still Kirstaria's servant, so she helps them out, and now they go to fight Aphrodite. Really cool fight, really cool fight. I mess with that one a lot. That was actually the reason why I finished it now instead of just finishing it later, because I played the first like 12 sections, or well, the first 11 sections of Olympus like a month ago, but I never finished it. So this week I just went through and started playing it like crazy, and I played like 15 sections in over like the past 4 days. So I loved it so much. And the Aphrodite fight was the catalyst for it. Because while I thought the Meteors fight was like, oh, it was cool, I didn't like it as much as the Aphrodite fight. It's not fair to her. She was cool, she just wasn't as good as the other ones that came along. You have them all getting ready to fight Zeus. They actually, in between, you have them fighting the Dioscuri twins, and that's pretty cool. They get bodied, they get folded, because they were just so hateful. Honestly, they were just so hateful. They hated humans so much. It's because one of them is half human. Just like, all right, cool. You're weird. You're weird, buddy. Then Canis bodies them. Musashi bodies them. It's cool. I didn't like them that much, honestly. I didn't like the Dioscuri twins that much. But moving aside from them, I'll talk about them later. Next, the final encounter is Zeus himself. And in between that, in between all of this, honestly, you have flashbacks of, well, not flashbacks, more like us looking at what's happening with Corstaria, with Pepe, or Pepperoncino, or Pat. I don't know how to pronounce his full name. Like when I read it, I know what it is, but when I'm trying to say it, it's like it's so hard to say. Hey, he's there, or Miorenji. There you go. He's cool. We see him and Kerstaria talking. We see him and Aphrodite talking actually. See her, or see him and Demeter. See him and Kadok actually. We see Beryl show up because he left the sixth lost boat, which was his, in London, which is nowhere near as good, or well, not nowhere near as good. More like it's not a good thing that a Lost Belt should be in London. One of the characters, one of the cryptors, said there should not be a Lost Belt in London. And I agree, there should never be a Lost Belt in London. Because in Singularities alone, we had two Lost Belts in London. Or at the very least, one in London and then one in Camelot. I don't remember if Camelot's actually in London or not, but whatever, you know. Like, British people were in two Singularities. And then you have this, Lost Belt 6, which has more British people in London, you know, like that. No, not because of British people. Let me rephrase that. It's because London and Fate is cursed. It's like it's basically cursed, bro. Like you have the clock tower there with all the magic and everything there. You have what's his dude's name? Artoria there. Like everything can just go wrong. And it seems like everything went wrong over there in London. So when we get there, it's about to be painful. I like the interactions with the cryptors, honestly. I really did. It was so cool seeing Karstaria, learning more about him, which I'll talk about later as well. But Pepe, we already learned a lot about him. He's really cool. One of my favorite cryptors, honestly. But learning more about Kadok and seeing him, not about him personally, but more like just seeing him, what he's doing after Russia, it's just really cool. Yeah. Seeing what Kadok is up to, it's pretty fire. It's pretty sick. Barrow, despisable, despicable. I hate him. I don't like him much. But that's that's just how the character's written. You know, I can't really do much about him. But you know, one thing I actually did like I didn't mention was Konyaskaya, or yeah, Konyaskaya, or oh, oh my gosh, I don't know how to pronounce her name, bro. Konyaskaya. There you go. I'm gonna just say that. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know. But if not, whatever. But having to fight her because she's actually one of the beasts. I think it's Beast 4 or Beast 3. No, yeah, I think Beast 4. I think Beast 3 is Kama. That or what's her face? I forgot her name, but the nun lady. I forgot her name. You have Konyaskaya show up and she's just basically like, "Hey, we don't have to fight, but we could." And then you guys just start fighting. Like it was crazy. And she's just like, "All right, that's all I really need to see. You're just right." And she leaves. She goes to wherever. And it's just crazy because that fight was so cool. It really shows like Konyaskaya is a threat. She is not allied with the foreign god. She's not allied with the cryptors. She's not allied with humanity nor Chaldea. She is her own entity that will get what she wants. You know, she's a businesswoman. She's business savvy. So it's just like, wow, that's the person that we've been dealing business with. Or well, creature, I guess. That's the creature we've been dealing business with. And it's wild to think about that. Beasts are just that strong, bro. They are just ungodly, unholy, unfathomable creatures in this lore that grand servants, which I think are weaker than beasts overall, are need to be summoned to fight beasts. Like I don't know if they're marginally weaker, probably not. They're just enough to fight them. Because it's cool actually. I like the lore behind them. How they're summoned to protect humanity, not to help you win, but to protect humanity. Because this is a world-ending threat, and shoot, Konyaskaya I say is a world-ending threat. So is Zeus, and then you'd say the same for like Kama and the nun lady. I forgot her name, but it's just cool that you need to summon those people to fight because Orion got summoned as well in Lost Boat in Atlantis, and then you have Rome. I forgot this dude's name. Romulus. There you go. The Romulus, like all of Rome, got summoned to fight. What's his dude's name? Zeus as well, which is sick. Actually, such a sick reveal too, because I knew like you know Romulus is out. I learned that he's the Rome guy, if what's his dude's name is here the Berserker, I think the third emperor of Rome. I forgot his name already, but since he's there, that's how Rambalus is gonna get summoned. It's there's no other way, bro. There's no other way. But it was sick. It was super sick. But yeah, so the cryptors, all they're all cool. They're all really cool. I mess with learning all about their lore. Kadok is really cool now that we get to learn more about him. Pepe's always been fire. There's no doubt about that. And Krishtaria, again, I'll talk more about later. But now we go in, we fight Zeus. Crazy, by the way. Actually crazy. Zeus is just a presence. He is a threat. That man had people kneeling before him with just pressure, like it's spiritual pressure, bro. Actually wild. But once we go in, the fact that we beat him is like that's the most surprising thing to me. Well, Though it wasn't surprising because we had Romulus, but before that, how are we going to beat him? I do not know. Because we had the ether summoning thing. It was like, oh, we summoned what's this dude's name? Ares. But Ares is not enough to beat him because Ares is just a part of Zeus. And so, the fact that Romulus got summoned makes sense. You had Ares, Romulus, and Chaldea basically, Miyamoto Musashi, Canis with the power of Poseidon, Mash with the power of Athena, have Sherlock Holmes here for some reason, and two children who are basically as strong as servants here as well. And then on top of that, you have Europa. It's like, bro, you have mad people here to take down Zeus. It's like, and still, I can't imagine how we won. It's ridiculous. It's actually so crazy. And this isn't like a nitpick against it. It's wild to me how big the stakes got in this Lost Belt. Because we knew, like, from the very beginning of this Lost Belt that it was going to be crazy. There was no doubt about that. This Lost Belt was going to be the hardest Lost Belt we've done so far. It's literally like going from London doing America, and you got that little increase. It was pretty good. Then you go to Camelot, and that's when things just got wild. That Atlantis and Olympus are Camelot, bro. They were wild. They were actually so wild. But we beat him. We managed to beat him. Really good fight. I loved the fight against Zeus. It was my favorite so far. It was difficult. It was really difficult, but it was fire. I really messed with it. But then we get the even crazier nonsense happening. And by the way, from this point forward, like you had fighting Demeter, we took down a god. The stakes only increased. They just only kept increasing. It was wild, bro. You have Demeter, then Aphrodite with I think the Hera infusion or something like that. I don't remember with somebody's infusion, and then you get Zeus himself, the big bad guy of the Lost Belt. Besides Kirchhoff, you go up to the reveal that Zeus, since he died, chaos came out, like literally the entity chaos that made everything in Greek or in Greek mythology. So chaos just shows up through like an eye in the sky, and she's about to just completely evaporate the planet because she wants all the materials on it. And that basically means everybody's dead. No matter what happens, everybody is dead. And one thing I wonder is like, is Chaos the strongest being we've ever seen in Fate Grand Order lore? Like, is she really? Because you have Beast, you have Foreign God, you have all these people, and it's just like, all right, but is she the strongest? Is Chaos really excuse me, really the strongest? Because she was huge and her power was immeasurable. She literally evaporated Ares in literally a millisecond. People couldn't fathom what happened. He just died. He legit just died. It was so unceremonious. He just completely got cooked. But I don't know. I think she is. I think she is. But then Musashi does her crazy, crazy sacrifice. That was fire. I love it. And then she just slices the void shut. She literally like sews it shut. It's crazy. It's so crazy. That moment with Musashi was fire. And like I think she's dead. Honestly, I think she's just genuinely dead because she was getting burnt alive going to the sun, basically. So I think she's dead. But if she isn't and she comes back, that'd be fire. That'd be fire if like she comes back as the real Musashi, or if the female Musashi comes back. Who knows? Fire. She was generally fire. One of the coolest characters. Like she had the Edmond Dantes syndrome, where they just come out of nowhere and they're just really cool. Except Musashi was more present, and hopefully Edmond Dantes one day shows up in a Lost Boat. That'd be super sick, bro. That'd be so dope. Musashi is gone. Chaos is gone, and now you have the foreign god showing. Oh, actually, no, not the foreign god. You have Kerstaria, the fight that you have to do with him. Not like in Atlantis where you just legit died, but a real one-on-one fight. Well, Kerstaria and Canis versus you and your people. You fight them, and it's one of the best fights. I love Kerstaria because we're learning his lore throughout this entire Lost Belt. It's just so fire. It's so fire, bro. It's awesome. But you're doing that, and you fight Kersaria, but then out of nowhere Beryl shows up and he's like, ah, ha, ha, let me stab you real quick. You also learn that Atlas, the tree, the Lost Ball, is actually Atlas. He's in there, and it wasn't just Magellan. And Kersaria was against or not the cryptors, but more like the foreign god himself. And he hasn't been on our side, but it's more like he's been on his own side. So he's like an antagonist more than a villain, honestly. and he's a sympathetic antagonist because you see how similar your character is to Kirstaria. It's so fire. I'll get to him in a minute though. The tree is basically almost fully there, but then the tree gets burnt alive, all that stuff. I forgot who did it, but somebody did it. I think it was Beryl himself. He stabs Kersaria, basically leaving him there to die. Corny character, corny character. Barrow was such a cornball, bro. He really just came in and ruined our whole 1v1 fade, bro. It was so messed up. With all that, the foreign god shows up and they're about to kill us. They're legit about to kill us. But then what's his dude's name? Kerstaria pulls out the serious light and he's just like, yeah, no. And then the foreign god just gets zapped away, bro. They retreat. And then Kerstaria is just here. He tells our character like, yo, leave immediately. You guys need to leave. You guys cannot die here. I failed my mission. I have wholeheartedly failed, but that doesn't mean that I can't help you guys out in my dying moments type stuff. And it was sick, honestly. It was sick because like for a second before Barrel showed up or before Barrel stabbed him, he literally showed the most concern for our character and for Mash as well. Like it was just so out of nowhere. It was so genuine. It was fire, honestly. Like for me who we don't know anything about Kersaria until the end of this, where we know his story and all that. That's the Kersaria that I think was the real one. You know, not the one who was hiding all of this information, but the one who cared about his cryptors like family, like friends, deep friends, and the one who cared about us because we were the ones to carry the torch basically to stop the foreign god and all of them. Like Kerstaria was fire. So fire. But he's left there to die. He lets us get away basically. Canis is there watching over him, and then we just run away basically. We leave. The tree is gone. The foreign god is gone. We were basically about to die, but now we weren't thanks to Kerstaria, and now we're going to the shadow border. And then this is where we get Kersaria's backstory, where he had an assassination attempt tried on him by his father, and then he had to hide out in a shelter, basically, in a little home with a homeless kid who lived under the bridge because the homeless kid found him. The kid lived so secluded that he didn't know English, barely anything, you know. All he knew was like a couple of words and all that. And the reason the kid saved him, we learn, is because he was just Cristario was a guy who walked across the bridge a lot, so he recognized him and he saved him out of the kindness of his heart because he just was a guy who he saw regularly. And we know because of a flashback that Kersaria didn't consider people to be people, honestly. He just thought that he would make something great. But people below him, he didn't even consider people. He didn't even consider living things. He just considered them like nothing, basically. So having somebody who was homeless and poor and all that, barely able to speak English or anything like that, or Japanese, I guess, considering the translation, save him for no reason at all, basically, and giving him bread, keeping him fed and all that. He, the kid had to sacrifice the all the food that he had in his shelter to feed Kersaria to keep him alive. And you have the fact that the kid has a pendant, right? He has a pendant that hides everything, or when he wears it, it hides the immediate area around him. So the little shelter can't be found by Magecraft until he takes off the pendant and all that. So one day he goes out to get bread for Kersaria, and he comes back, but the reason why he left, when you would think like, oh yeah, he knows that he can't leave because if he do, they're gonna kill Kerstaria. There's just no way, no doubt about that. But they also can't find him either, so he just has to keep him alive as best as he can, which is really smart. You know, like the kid, while you would think he's dumb because he doesn't know anything. No, he's smart. He's really smart for having that technique, that knowledge to know like I can't leave Kerstaria. He was really smart, you know. He just couldn't convey it through words. But he went to go get the bread. He left the pendant with Kersaria, and Kersaria wakes up, sees fresh bread baked today, and then the kid has bruises everywhere. He's malnourished, and Kersaria realizes he was giving me his food all the time. All along, he was giving me his food. So he sacrificed his life to keep me alive. And Kersaria, the reason his magical circuits were burned away, he could have been way stronger, was because he was poisoned, and the way that he could fix it was by literally getting up and burning his magical circuits so that he could have enough energy to walk and be able to live type. So he's permanently scarred. he permanently scarred himself, and that's why his circuits are weaker, but he's still one of the strongest, if not the strongest mage you've ever seen in the story. He was so fire. And then we learned that I'm not, I can't even claim to know why you did it, but you did it anyways. So I'm gonna take on your will. I'm just gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna help people, you know. I'm gonna help the people that I care about and consider them people, you know. At the end of the day, like I care. And he's gonna make a world where gods people become gods basically. Everybody's equal, so there's no need for inequality and stuff like that. And the exception is that he won't become a god. He'll just live out his days because he doesn't deserve to be a god type stuff. And Cadus even mentions that, like, oh wow, you don't want to become a god, because the only person that knew about his plan was Canis. Actually, the only person. Like no cryptor, no foreign god, no Chaldean, no god even, not even Zeus, one of his best friends. No one knew except for Canis because Kerstaria decided to show her the real side of him. And he did because he trusted her genuinely. In Atlantis, when he was over there and he was fighting the Chaldeans and what was her face? Canis almost died. He didn't leave her to die. This was all a part of the plan. From the very beginning, from the very minute details in it, Kerstaria and Canis have been in the plan together since day one. The the Diascori twins, complete nunces, bro. Complete dunce cap wearing losers. They did not understand the plan. Because Kerstaria never told them it. Kerstaria trusted Canis, and that's the Canis gang, bro. Actually supporting the Canis gang. Way better than the Diascori meat munchers, bro. Disgusting. But Canis was the only one that he trusted. And he told her that. He imparted that knowledge onto her, and then they became servant and master. And Canis was one of the few people, or, well, Kerstaria was one of the few people that Canis respected besides us and Musashi. She respected very few people, but the respect that she had for what's his face for Kerstaria, it reminds me a lot, honestly, of what's his dude's name, Pepe and Asvataman from Lostbelt 4. Their love and respect for each other, it was great, honestly. It was great because while they weren't together the whole time, when they came together, they were awesome, you know? They were generally, oh, that reminds me of the Cardinal scene. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh man, but yeah, Kerstaria and Canis, their servant master relationship is better than Mash and the main characters, bro. In my opinion, it was awesome. It was so good. That going on, and we learn Kerstaria's backstory, why he helped us. He just helped a random stranger, us basically, and he did it the same reason that the kid did it because he saw him before. And Canis even comments on that in her thoughts, like Kerstaria and our character, the insert player name here, they're so similar. They're actually so similar. And I noticed that too, because in the flashbacks where Kerstaria was doing the stuff with his cryptor buddies, because the foreign god made them do it to bring him back alive, and all that stuff, they needed an accomplishment. He was basically like our character during events, you know? He was just having a good time. He was honest, he was funny, he was earnest, you know? He was a cool guy. He was generally a cool guy. Ophelia loved him. Kadok and him, they understood each other at least a little bit. You have Pepe and Kerstaria who are really good friends. Like Pepe understands everybody the most, except for like Barrel maybe, but he's really good friends with David. He's really good friends with Kerstaria. He's decent friends with Kadak. He thought Ophelia and Mash were cool, and Akuta, she really kind of left herself be herself, so we can't really talk about her too much. But Pepe understood everybody and understood Kerstaria. While he didn't know the plan that he had, he understood him, and he understood Kerstaria and had a plan, And it was just genuinely awesome. Kerstaria Woodheim is, to me, the best character in Fate Grand Order. He's one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite, besides like some servants out there. He was so cool. He was so cool, and it's so crazy to say that today, because literally I did not like Kerstaria in the beginning of this because why was he doing it? Why was he eradicating humanity? Was he bitter? Was he evil? Why did he do it? But then you realize through his story, like, nah, this is all a part of his plan from day one. From day one, this was all a part of his plan. With Canis, with all the cryptors, with everybody, with the foreign god betraying him, with Atlas, with us. Everybody was a part of his plan like he was Eisen, bro. It was crazy. But then you just you just see that, and it really just it changed my mind for him. It changed my opinion of him completely to being like, oh, I hope he's a good villain. To wow, I wish he was a hero. I wish he was a good guy. I wish he was on our side so we could have helped him, you know. But Karstaria did it. He didn't do it by himself either. He definitely didn't do it by himself. Because if he did, he wouldn't have trusted Canis, or he wouldn't have done any of this with Atlas or anybody with Zeus. But he did it. He genuinely did it. And he honestly, by the end of it, he was one of my favorite characters. But, you know, when that happens, Canis goes to fight us one more time because she wants to go on her terms and not just die in the Lost Belt crumbling apart. Also, Europa, Adele, and Macario say goodbye to us because they basically left us, or they sent us over to the shadow border because it was really far away, but they couldn't get any closer. So Europa used her wind magic, and Macarios and Adele helped her out, and then they just stood there. They stood there, basically watching us leave, and it was like mother and children, you know. It was generally like that, where they were all just standing there, looking and realizing like they're dead. There is no tomorrow for them. The tomorrow that they wanted is here, and they're getting older and they don't have any more reincarnation, but they won't live to see anything more than that. And that's the grim reality of it, you know. They fought so hard for this just to get a bittersweet ending. And it was messed up. It was really messed up. But then we get sent to the shadow border. Canis fights us. We have a last goodbye with her, and she basically admits like, "Yo, when you guys die, you know, I can't wait to see you all because I'm gonna give you a pat on the back. You guys deserved it. You guys did it. You guys won." And it was basically like she respects us now. It was awesome. It was so awesome. And then she fades away after we fight her, and now we're just here in the shadow border, going back to the the wandering sea, and now we get one final thing, which actually made me tear up a little bit. It was seeing Musashi, Adele, and Makarios in a recording, right? They sent Makarios recorded this and sent it to the Shadow Border as one last like goodbye, basically. And it was what's this dude's name? They Adele and Makarios and Musashi, right? They were talking, and Makarios was basically like, "All right, I'm doing a little bit of like information gathering. What do you guys think about uh, my character and Mash, right?" And he didn't tell them that this was like a review of the crew, but they basically could gather like, yeah, this is what's happening, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Musashi, I love them. They're amazing. I love both of them." At first, I was unsure about Mash, but after seeing how she fights, the only reason that the main character can keep going is because of her, because that's his servant and all that stuff. And Adele was like, "Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. I think we're friends, honestly. I think they're cool." And Makarios is like, "Oh shoot, well, all right, yeah, they're cool. They're cool." And then they were all like, "All right, why don't we have a celebration when all this is over and done with?" And then Makarios is like, "Yeah, why don't we? We're gonna have the best celebration ever." And then that's where the recording ends, knowing the truth that not a single person except us, the people that showed up and the people that left, lived. Not a single person. And that's where it ends. That's, for me, this is the last thing that I can do in the story until Lost Belt 6 comes out. And it hit me. Like, it hit me hard. That's where it ended. And for people who played up to that point, like every Lost Belt they waited for, they had to experience that. They had to experience the grim and sad reality. Like, we're this is what's gonna happen every time. From Russia all the way until Olympus, it's like that's what's been happening. And it's so hard to deal with, bro. It's so hard. It hit me so bad. Like not crying, but it was just like I was sitting there just thinking for a couple minutes, like, shoot, man, this is it. This is genuinely it. Until further stuff comes out, I've caught up to Fate Grand Order. And what I have to say about it, Olympus is great. Wholeheartedly, Olympus was amazing. From Well, my favorites right now were Lost Belt 1, Lost Belt 4, and Lost Belt 5. Lost Belt 2 and Lost Belt 3 I've started to lose opinion on because you just compare them both to the rest of them, and it's just like there's no comparison. There's genuinely no comparison between Lost Belt 1, 4, and 5, and then compared to 2 and 3. You know, like 2 and 3 are just inferior, and it's hard to say that because if this was in like regular singularity, Grand Order, it would have been fine. It would have been good. Honestly, it would have been good, but it wasn't. It was in the Lost Belts, the better portion of Grand Order, the better writing, the better characters, the better pace, more story. It's difficult. It's generally difficult, but Olympus was awesome. Olympus was genuinely awesome. One of the best stories in Grand Order, scratch that, in Fate that I've ever seen slash read. It was amazing. And Atlantis and Olympus together, best story, bar none. Best story, bar none, bro. It is good, it is amazing, it is great. Together, Olympus and Atlantis for me are a 10 out of 10. Like, it is so good. And I don't, like, I have faith in saying that. Olympus and Atlantis together, best story section ever in Grand Order. Like, if I had to put it on a tier list, it's 10 out of 10. No doubt, no holds bar. It's awesome. It's so good. But MVP again. It's Kirstaria, then it's Musashi, then it's Canis, and then favorite moment, honestly, Kirstaria's backstory and the fight, the rematch against Kirstaria, and the Aphrodite fight, the Zeus fight, and then you have Chaos showing up, and then you have Kirstaria and Canis when Kirstaria is dying. Like my favorite moment is definitely Kirstaria's backstory and the fight against him. Those two are my favorite by far. But there's just so many good moments that you can mention, like Musashi's farewell, basically. You have the Ares showing up, Romulus being summoned. He was so cool. He was actually so cool. But then you just have all that going on, and it's like, man, Olympus was really good. Oh man. But characters, best by far. Like the characters in Olympus were stronger than in Atlantis, but at the same time there was fewer of them. So it's kind of like Xenoblade 1 where Shulk is the best written character ever, but then you have Xenoblade 2 where the characters are all equal and they have really good stories. So it's like in Olympus there's less characters but they're really well written, but in Atlantis there's more characters and they're all equally well written. So it's like, what do you choose here? For me, Atlantis was my personal favorite in the way that it was written because it was a family, and I really like that type of story writing, which is why I like One Piece so much. But Olympus, I can't deny its greatness. It's really good. So I gotta give it to the story and the characters, memorable characters, great story. OST, I could not tell you I do not play with the sound on, or at the very least I keep it very low. The what's it called? The setting was really cool. The animations, there was so many animations in what's it called, in Olympus. Like they really stepped up the production value for Olympus and Atlantis. Like it was so sick, honestly. And just the creativity in the gameplay as well. It really showed. Like in in what's this Lost Vault 4, you have to fight against Karna when you're as Vatsman, and it's such a cool idea. But in Olympus, they really stretch that idea as well. Like they really use it to its full potential. So I love it, honestly. I love it. But yeah, honestly, so I don't keep this video going on for too long. It was great. It was just great. That's all I have to say about it, honestly. And if you guys have anything to say on Olympus and Atlantis, let me know in the comments below. But I'm gonna end it here for now. This has been Infamous Isaac talking about Atlantis and Olympus, mainly Olympus because this is the whole point of it. But I'll see you all in the next video. Overwatch content coming soon because Overwatch 2 releases today. I didn't upload yesterday because I didn't want to force anything onto the channel, right? If I finished the story yesterday, which I did, and uploaded it the same day, it would have been like at 11:50. I would have only been uploading because of the streak and not because I wanted to generally make this video. So I just did that to like take a break as well. But I'm here now with this video, so get ready for more Overwatch content coming soon. But I'll see you all in the next video. Until next time, this has been Infamous Isaac, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. More fake Granddaughter content coming as well. The game isn't done, so I'm not done. But yeah, peace.